Who did the Yankees let go and who are they keeping? Coming up next on Locked On Yankees.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm your host, Stacey Gotsoulias. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. As you can see, I'm by myself again. Brian will be back tomorrow. He's still out in Indiana, and he went to every sporting event that happened within like a 500-mile radius. It was amazing. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified whenever our videos go live. On today's show, some teams around the league have made some moves, including the Angels, who signed a pitcher the Yankees are very familiar with. We're going to have a lesson on media literacy. There's the word, because there's a problem with it. I discovered it this weekend, and we need to talk about that. But first, who was tendered, non-tendered by the Yankees? I always find that funny, just because I think of Love Me Tender by Elvis, because that's how my brain works. So the Yankees non-tendered John Birdie and Tim Meza, and that was ahead of the 8 p.m. deadline on Friday night. So they're both free agents now. The Yankees did agree to one-year contracts with right-hander JT Brubaker and outfielder Trent Grisham. Grisham will earn up to $5 million with up to $250,000 in incentives. That's according to Mark Feinsand of MLB.com. He earned 5.5 this past season, which is interesting, thinking about how little playing time he got, and he made $5.5 million. We discussed this last week with contracts and how it's crazy that guys are signing one-year deals, top flight free agents and top flight players are being paid over $30 million for a year, when the big contract 45 years ago nearly was Dave Winfield signing a 10-year, $31 million contract. So that's always amusing to me. Although that was 80s money, so that was pretty good for him. So Meza was projected to make $4 million in arbitration. They decided to pass on him. He had over a 4 ERA. He had some good outings for the Yankees, but he's not the type of guy that you want to commit to as your left-hander in the bullpen. I think they'll probably go after Tim Hill, because Tim Hill voiced some, he said he wanted to come back to the Yankees, and I think the Yankees are interested in him coming back. He was great when he was with the Yankees, and I think they'll probably work on something with him. Birdie was projected to make $3.8 million. He was limited to only 25 games because of multiple injuries, and the Yankees decided they could go with Oswaldo Cabrera and possibly eventually the guy that we talked about a lot last week, Caleb Durbin, as the versatility they need off the bench for infielders. And I was reading an article that said that $8 million could help the Yankees financially, possibly to bring Tim Hill back. It wouldn't be for Soto. That money's not going for Soto. That's a whole bunch of other money that the Yankees are going to be throwing at Juan Soto. So like I said, I'm thinking Tim Hill would be the guy that the Yankees go after, and that $8 million will help them go after him. They have offered contracts to Jazz Chisholm, Nestor Cortez, Scott Effross, Mark Leiter Jr., Clark Schmidt, Jose Trevino. Now, the teams and the players all have until January 9th to agree to those contracts, and the salary arbitration figures will be exchanged. I've spoken about this on the show many times. If you're a newbie, this is new for you. If you're a regular, I apologize for saying this again. I don't like the whole arbitration process, mainly because the player has to go in and say why he's worth money, like specific money. And then the team has to go in and tear him down. And there was an infamous incident years ago with Dellin Betances just being torn to shreds by Randy Levine. And in my mind, I'm picturing someone from the Yankees going into the arbitration meeting with Nestor Cortez and basically being like, injuries and, you're not a strong starter. Why do you think you need to make this much money? I can see them going in with other guys about injuries. Like, what's Efros going to come back with? He barely pitched. It's not his fault. He was injured, but, so I'm thinking most of these guys are going to not come up with crazy numbers. And I think the Yankees will. I don't think any of these people will go to arbitration. I'm hoping they don't. I'm really hoping they don't. We'll see. But yeah, Trent Grisham. How do you guys feel about Trent Grisham? I feel bad that he doesn't get enough playing time, that it's very scattered, because he's really good defensively. And I feel like he needs to go in for certain people towards the end of games. Like, I understand why you'd want Juan Soto's bat in the lineup late in games, but I also would understand why you wouldn't want his defense in the outfield during later innings, because man, when he takes a wrong route to a ball, like there are some outfielders who will be turned around a certain way and then they'll realize that the ball's going a different way and they can correct themselves really well, where Juan Soto is just a mess. We'll see. Let's look at some comments. Yes. Well, yeah. Okay. Oh, let me bring this up. And this is going to lead into segment 2 and media literacy and stuff that's happening on Google that's driving me crazy. So Jared Williams says, who won't return as a Yankee? I say Gleyber Torres. Yes, I would agree. Gleyber's gone. I don't want him to be gone, but it doesn't look like the Yankees want him back. I saw a headline on Google that said, Yankees all-star infielder betrays them and goes to a rival. And it was an article about Gleyber possibly going to the Blue Jays. Now, the thing that cracked me up about this is, what's Gleyber supposed to do? Is he supposed to stop his career now that he's no longer with the Yankees? He has every right to go wherever he wants. And all the other teams have every right to offer him a contract. And if he happens to go to the Blue Jays and he happens to ball out against the Yankees when the Blue Jays play them 13 times a year, then good for him. Good for him. I just thought that choice of phrasing with him betraying, it's not a betrayal. He's not a Yankee anymore. He's a free agent. He can do whatever he wants. He can go to whatever team. If he wants to go to the Astros, he can go to the Astros. If he wants to go to the Rays or the Red Sox or any other rival of the Yankees, he has every right to do that. And it's not a betrayal. The Yankees clearly don't want him. Where is it? Who do you think the Yankees should sign? I think Corbin Burns. Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice. I think they should sign Juan Soto personally, because I don't think they can. Well, all right. They could do both Soto and Corbin Burns, but they won't because Hal doesn't want to go over a certain threshold. I mean, the Yankees are swimming in money. They're worth $7 billion. And it feels like people don't realize how much $1 billion is. That's a lot of money. And the Yankees have the money. And I know it's all the luxury tax. They don't want to go over that threshold. They don't want to be penalized. Who cares? Steve Cohen doesn't care. Hal Steinbrenner shouldn't care. And I'll say this for the 18 billionth time. You're the New York Yankees. I don't want to hear this whole, we have to be frugal in certain aspects. No, you don't. If you sign Juan Soto, go big or go home. You want to win the World Series. You don't want to be embarrassed in the World Series again. Do what the Dodgers do. Pick everyone up that you can. Corbin Burns would be interesting. Mike Petriello of ML, I think he's with MLB.com now. He wrote an article today about Corbin Burns and the issue that he has with people running on him. I don't think that was the only part of the article. That's just the part of the article that I saw that was being posted on different social media. So if you have a chance to read that about Corbin Burns, because it was pretty interesting to see how catchers are running on him. Catchers aren't known to be fast. So if a catcher is running on a pitcher, they got to work on that, right? I think so. And yeah, here's the thing. Glaber had a rough first half. And the second half, he got things going. And once the Yankees moved him into the leadoff position, he became I won't say he became a different player. He just became the Gleyber Torres that you expected Gleyber Torres to be, if that makes sense. And other teams saw that, and they saw what he did in the playoffs. And I think more teams will be after Gleyber Torres than we think. I know it's quiet right now, but I feel like teams are laying low a little bit. Not all teams, and we're going to talk about that in segment 3. So coming up, we're going to talk about media literacy because there's a big problem with Google, and I discovered it this weekend. We're going to discuss it. But first, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notification so you know when our videos go up. You can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club as well. The link is in the description. You get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades, signings during the season. We send out the lineups, roster moves, any breaking news so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. Okay, coming up next, a lesson in media literacy. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and tastes of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off site-wide during their cyber sale on omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with promo code MLB. With 5 generations of experience, Omaha Steaks consistently delivers the world's best steak experience, and their gifting experts have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide during the cyber sale at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code MLB. And you get a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code MLB. Minimum purchase may apply. Honestly, try saying site-wide 3 times fast. You can't, because I can't. That was difficult. But Omaha Steaks, I'm excited about this because I love steak. And I know that Omaha Steaks has good stuff. So thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. Remember, every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club and get top priority during Fan Mail Friday. The link is in the description. So you're probably wondering, what is this media literacy thing that Stacey's about to talk about? Well, here's the thing. When I was searching for topics to talk about for today's show, I was looking yesterday because I wasn't sure if I was recording last night or today, and I decided to do a noon live stream. Thank you all for joining me. And the first headline that I saw yesterday on Google, when I clicked on news after typing in Yankees, said, Yankees land all-star closer in bold trade proposal with Athletics. The first half of that link made it seem as if the Yankees made a trade. And if you're like me, where you're sometimes in a hurry and you just see the first couple of words of a link, you think, whoop, and you click on it. But I knew, because I had been tricked by something else the previous week. But other people might still be fooled by stuff like that. I don't appreciate this. I sort of understand, because we do SEO also, search engine optimization. So we put things in our titles to make people click on them. We put things in our thumbnails on YouTube. Like, a couple of weeks ago when we did Fan Mail Friday, someone asked if the Yankees should trade Luke Weaver. And I thought to myself, oh, let's put that in the thumbnail because people will click on it and say, no, let's not trade Luke Weaver. But I wasn't lying about what was in the show. We were answering a question about whether or not Luke Weaver should be traded. And we both Brian and I said no, emphatically no. So this is the thing that bothers me. This link that said Yankees land all-star closer in bold trade proposal with Athletics was from the Sporting News. The Sporting News. That was a legendary publication that is now turned into, how do we call it? It's clickbait, yes. And what they do now is they've become more like a blog, how blogs used to be 15 years ago. Because the basis for the article on Sporting News was a post from Fansided. Basically, some guy wrote about this potential trade. It was Will Warren, Jason Dominguez for Mason Miller. Basically saying this could happen. The Sporting News wrote a whole post about it with a title that could be misleading at first glance. Now, the funny thing is, I used to write for the Sporting News and I wrote for Fansided. I wrote for both places, and I'm going to sound like a curmudgeon when I say this, but this sort of thing it wouldn't fly when I was writing for the Sporting News 7, 8 years ago. We came up with our own stuff. We didn't borrow things from other people and write something around it. That's something you do on a blog. That's what I did on blogs when I first started writing nearly 15 years ago. You take an article where someone says, so-and-so is going to sign for this much money, and you take what they write and you write your opinion about it. You use some of their stuff and you link to it, which they did in this article. They linked to everything. But now it's the other way around, where these formerly big name publications are becoming like blogs. And I don't understand how that happened, when it happened, and it's upsetting to me. It's really upsetting to me. I don't appreciate it. And and this isn't even with just sports media. This is with every type of media. Every headline is a gotcha headline now. And it gets people to click on things. And I don't appreciate it. I really don't. And it's funny because I've been feeling like I want to get back into writing, and there's nowhere to go because so many of these places are becoming the types of site that just auto post things and just churn out stuff that maybe isn't even written by an actual person, because now AI is a big thing. And some of these articles almost look like they are written by AI. And I understand a lot of people don't want to go to real news sites because of paywalls and subscription prices, but people don't work for free. People don't write for free. Some bloggers might because they started as a passion project. And I didn't make money when I first started writing, but then I started getting noticed and people offered me positions in places where I got paid. They offered me the chances to write articles where I got paid by the word. So I understand the frustration of feeling like you need to have 50,000 subscriptions in order to read the news. But again, people need money to get paid. And I know the ads are annoying on all these places as well, because, you open up a website and 50 million ads pop up and you have to shut them down. Or, if you have an ad blocker and they tell you to disable it, it's how they make money. But going back to the media literacy thing, just be very careful with these headlines, okay? Because again, you see Yankees land all-star closer, you're clicking on it. You don't even read the next 6 words. You're just like, whoop, and you click on it. So just be careful with that. There's going to be a lot of that stuff. We spoke about it last week. There was another one with the potential, the Nolan Arenado trade with, I think, was Will Warren involved in that one too? Was it Will Warren and Spencer Jones involved in that one? This one was Jason Dominguez, Will Warren, Mason Miller. So you're going to see a lot of that stuff. And I just want you all to be careful. This is the time of year where this happens the most because nothing's really happening yet, other than the non-tender deadline coming and that sort of thing. But there are other teams who are making moves. around the league. And I know it's frustrating when you see the Yankees barely doing anything, but again, they're waiting for Juan Soto. Everything hinges on Juan Soto, and they're waiting for him to make his decision. There's also a lot of nonsense surrounding him as well, where if you click on Yankees news in Google, you'll see, opinion pieces by people saying that they believe the Yankees will go to the Mets over the Yankees. Juan Soto will go to the Mets over the Yankees. Just, it's all opinion right now. No one knows what he's going to do. I know teams are going to be offering him things now, and hopefully we'll find out soon what his decision is, and he won't drag it out, and we won't be fooled by any of these misleading headlines anymore. So coming up next, we're going to look around the league because some teams have actually made moves, which good for them, but I wish the Yankees were making moves as well. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. If you bet on the Commanders-Cowboys game, that was a crazy ending. If you bet on college football and you actually bet on Florida, you probably had a good weekend. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So some teams are making moves in Major League Baseball. Specifically, the Angels signed lefty Yusei Kikuchi to a 3-year deal, which is an interesting move, kind of surprising move. I'm surprised about two things. I thought maybe he would have a reunion with the Blue Jays, and I know a lot of Blue Jays fans were hoping for that, but that didn't happen. I also thought maybe the Astros would bring him back after he had such a strong performance with them in the limited time that he was there with them. And the Angels have made other moves. So this is, I think, their third move that they've made so far this offseason. The contract is worth $63 million. Now, Kikuchi was 4-9 with a 4.75 ERA in just over 115 innings with the Blue Jays before he was traded to Houston at the deadline. He threw 60 innings with the Astros, and he had a 2.70 ERA. He was actually pretty strong in the outings that he had with the Astros, helped them down the stretch. They made the playoffs, but got swept out. They got swept out. He's 33. And Kikuchi is one of those guys who's hit or miss. I think I've joked about it, actually. I joked about it when he was with the Blue Jays, because every other time the Yankees faced him, it seemed like they had issues with him, and then they hit him. They had issues with him, and then they were able to hit him. He was very hit or miss. And he's like that with his seasons as well, because he had picked things up in 2023. And he did pretty well for the Blue Jays. And then he regressed a bit, which is why he was pitching to a 4.75 ERA in the beginning of 2024. So it's interesting to see if he'll continue the strong performance that he had with the Astros, with the Angels, or if he'll revert back to being the unpredictable guy that you don't know who you're going to get. And, in this day and age, 3 years, $63 million, I know to you and me seems like a lot, but in baseball, it's not a lot, and it's not a terrible contract. It's kind of what you expect for a guy like this. But I'm just surprised that he went to the Angels. I'm surprised, honestly, when anyone goes to the Angels. Does anyone else feel like that? Because it seems like the Angels never get anything right. They wasted Shohei Ohtani. They've wasted most of Mike Trout's career. I understand he gets hurt as well. But during the years when he wasn't hurt, they wasted his time. He's appeared in how many playoff games? 4? Out of how many years of a career? He's been playing for over 10 years now. And they've wasted his entire career. Although he wasted his entire career when he re-signed with them. Again, I don't understand why people go to the Angels. They don't know what they're doing. Ownership is terrible, and it's very strange to me. Another move that was made right before the non-tender deadline Friday, right-hander Brady Singer of the Royals, is now a Red because the Reds traded Jonathan India and Joey Weimer to the Royals. The Royals had room on their 40-man, so they didn't have to make another move beyond Singer. So they were able to add India and Weimer to the 40-man. So India, it seems, just needed a change of scenery. He's a solid second baseman. He burst onto the scene. His first year, he did really well. Singer and India, I believe, were teammates on their college team. And it's interesting that they got traded for each other. So India could be a leadoff hitter for the Royals, possibly, like a steady leadoff hitter for the Royals. And Singer is a solid mid-rotation guy. His ERA is around 4, but he's very strong against right-handed hitters. So that'll be good for the Royals for the Reds, that kind of a split. And that's at least lately he's been doing that. But I think it's interesting that the Reds kind of gave up on Jonathan India, but he just wasn't picking things up. But that's a good move for the Royals. That's a good move for the Royals. And I think Singer going back to the Reds is a good move for the Reds. So those are 2 deals that have been made around baseball. I don't think I missed anything else because it's been kind of quiet. So let's see. I'm looking at comments, people who are listening to this on audio. Devin Sullivan says, I feel like the Angels never have that traction to get anywhere. I don't follow them, though. It's just, they load up on one thing, but forget about another thing. Like they'll load up on their offense, but then forget to get pitchers, or they'll get good pitchers and then only have like 2 really good offensive players. That sounds familiar. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. The Yankees aren't that bad. And Artie Moreno kind of floated the idea around that he was going to sell the team and then decided not to sell the team. And I know a lot of Angels fans want him to sell the team. They're just sick of him not doing anything. And I can't imagine what it's like for Angels fans watching the Dodgers have the success that they've had in the last decade. And it's not just the World Series. It's also winning the division all the time, being in the playoffs all the time, at least being in there. And the Angels are just sitting there like, the Angels did not make the playoffs when they had Shohei Ohtani. At all. Shohei Ohtani's first experience in the playoffs was this past year, and he won a World Series. Because the Angels just didn't make the team good around him and Mike Trout. Yeah. Eric Simmons says, I think the Royals getting India was a solid move. What do you think? Yep. I think it's a solid move. I really do. I think the change of scenery will work for him. And because I think that works for a lot of people. I think it's going to work for Glaber. I'm a little afraid. I mentioned it earlier, if you're just joining now, that there was a funny headline saying that that Glaber may betray the Yankees by going to a rival. That rival is the Blue Jays. And as I said earlier, Glaber has every right to go to whomever he wants, wherever he wants, because he's a free agent and the Yankees clearly don't want to bring him back. And I think a change of scenery will be great for him. And I think that maybe this is when Glaber picks things up. Maybe he was feeling too much pressure, but I don't understand how you feel too much pressure when you have guys like Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton picking up the slack. Like you're not the number one guy on the Yankees. And I don't understand why you'd feel pressure if you're not the number one guy. Aaron Judge should feel pressure. He felt it in October. But he's the one who should always feel pressure. Eric Simmons says, I wonder why players need a change of scenery. I think because they need new teammates. Glaber gets along with his teammates. He gets along with his teammates. I think there's just something about, I don't know. I don't think he couldn't handle the pressure in New York, but I think it's just gotten to the point where he might need a change of pace. And it's sad because I really wish that Glaber, and we spoke about this, and I'll do this quickly because I have to end the show. We spoke about how Glaber did really well in 2019 and how that was kind of a detriment to him because the balls were juiced and other players had insane years, DJ LeMahieu. That came back to bite him in the rear end and the Yankees in the rear end. And I think Torres having that insane season in 2019, it didn't help him moving forward. And it didn't help us either because we're thinking, oh, wow, okay, this guy's going to hit 35 to 40 home runs. Cool. And then it didn't materialize that way. Selena says, wonder how Gley would have done had they left him in leadoff all season. I remember they gave him a tiny bit of a run, then they moved on. Maybe they should have left him there. Yeah. There were some instances where they put people in the leadoff spot, didn't give them enough room to grow in the leadoff spot, then yanked them out because they were really having problems finding someone to hit leadoff after Volpe cooled off. And then once Glaber really started hitting, and once he kind of cleared his head during the All-Star break and started working on things, he became the leadoff hitter that the Yankees wanted. And I was really hoping that those final 2 months and his performance in the playoffs would make the Yankees want to bring him back. But I think it's going to be a money thing. And I think he's going to ask for too much, and the Yankees aren't going to want to give him as much as he's asking for. But we'll see what happens. But thank you for joining me for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. Tomorrow we're doing it live again at noon. Brian will be back from his trip. He went to lots of sporting activities, football, basketball, more football, hockey, I believe, right? He was at a hockey game too. Crazy. So we'll be back tomorrow, 24 hours from now, doing a live stream. So look for that. Thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings a daily blend of humor and baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. You can find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and we will see you tomorrow.